Oops. It's December 7th, 2023, 8:59 and 54 seconds. And oops 59 was because I'm still not used to this. I thought I was selecting which broadcast that I was about to start, but it's select broadcast and begin broadcasting. Yeah, does anybody care that I started a few seconds early? I got an audio confirmation. How about that? Well done, Doug. Got an audio confirmation this time. I'm going to go to channel comments. And this one, why Yam Exo 17. 1, 2, 3, 4 comments from Yam Exo, and they're all from this Windows 10 Home to Windows 10 Pro. It says, bro, OMG, thank you. Let's see, I got to zoom in a little bit there. Thank you. This worked on my new motherboard I just installed. I could not whatsoever figure out how to get activated due to my previous build. I still have, but OMG, I am crying right now. I swear to God, Microsoft is messed up. I'm reading in there, messed up for not fixing this with how much money they make. Thank you so much. I can't even express how much I am thankful. Well, I thank you for that comment there, and I think you did express it pretty well. And then, let's see, that was 20 hours ago. So then 20 hours ago, this was actually during yesterday's show. And yes, I subbed, you are the best. And then he says, I called Microsoft support and got nowhere fast. I come here and magic is made. And then his last comment, his or her, I can confirm this method worked. I did the first part, then I came back and turned Wi-Fi on and entered my upgrade code, and it was still buggy, but when I turned the Wi-Fi off and entered the code, not only did it take it, but I got another error message saying I had not internet, of course, but upon reconnecting, I would receive activation. Sure enough, right when I clicked the Wi-Fi option back on, went from activate to active in seconds. Again, you're the best. Thank you so much. I hope Microsoft sees this because not even a command prompt helped me on this, LOL. We need new methods from Windows for troubleshooting because theirs did nothing. Nothing. Not a thing. Okay. Thank you, YamXO. I'm going to send a reply to YamXO with a timestamp to this point in the video. And I have already made YamXO an approved commenter. So if he or she shows up in the chat room today during the stream, then he or she will be able to chat. So that finishes that. And then I got emails to go to. Let me go pull those up from Danielle Emberly regarding the MSI B550 Tomahawk block diagram. I'm going to scroll this down a little bit so her email address is not exposed and we can see the whole email here. There we go. This will do it. Hi, Doug. Further to the live stream this morning, I am attaching a block diagram. The B550 chipset is a component on the B550 motherboard. The USB ports are shown on the right side of the diagram, with approximately half coming from the CPU, top right of the diagram, and the other half coming from the B550 chipset, bottom left of the diagram. Hopefully that helps to give a better perspective. At this point, I do not know if any particular group of USB ports and connections are more reliable or have degraded in some way. I have not been able to relate the ports on the block diagram to the actual physical locations on the motherboard. Unfortunately, I have not been able to find an English version of the diagram. Regards, and then it's signed with Danielle. And let's see, that's B550 Tomahawk. The other name that she was giving on that was let's see, this is a chipset, and then there was that other number that she's giving us yesterday. That wasn't actually included in that email. Somehow I thought it was, but here's that block diagram that she was referring to. And my impression when I first read this is that some of these USB ports are, well, controlled by the chipset, some are controlled by the CPU. And that here's the AMD B550 chipset, and here's the CPU. So there's a Type A, a second Type A, and a Type C that are controlled by the CPU. Let's see, that's two USB 3.2 Gen 1s, one USB 3.2 Gen 2, and one USB 3.2 Gen 2 is of Type C. And then from the B550 chipset, one USB 2.0, two USB 2.0, two USB 3.2, one USB 3.2. Well, now here, there's no USB 2.0 from the CPU. So I'm thinking if you can physically see a distinction between your USB 2.0 ports and two USB 3.2 and one USB 3.2 Type C port, if you can see those can group together, that might give you a distinction as far as which are controlled by the CPU and which are controlled by the chipset. Now, the reason why this is even a question, which are controlled by the chipset and which are controlled by the CPU, is that she has external hard drives that cause some kind of a symptom on the computer when she plugs it into certain ports. And so the thought is that it may have to do with some of the ports being controlled by CPU and some controlled by the chipset. Another thing that occurs to me is maybe that drives that are causing a symptom. What if you use a Type C to Type A adapter plugged into a Type C port and connect that to the drive and see how its behavior is then? I'm not quite clear in my mind what the symptom is and when it occurs. So that is just an idea to throw out there. Before I go to the chat room, I'm going to come here to an email from John Williams. Get this position. Well, I can't get this position to block his email address, so I'll just read it. And this came in yesterday. John says, hello, Doug. On this morning's show, I did connect the 2.5 Western Digital spinning drive to a 2.0 USB port on the front of my desktop computer, and I was able to get a readout that showed up on the video screen. Have a good night and see you soon. So the question was coming up yesterday about when do you have to have external power on a 2.5-inch spinning drive, because there was some discrepancy about when I had an instance in the past where I had to have extra power and could not just run it off of USB. So I'm understanding, John, here that you're saying when you connected that 2.5 spinning drive to a single USB port without a second USB connector and without an external power, is what I'm understanding you to say there, and it worked. So there was an occasion when it did not work for me, and I can't say when that was. I could say if I knew, but I can't say because I don't know when that was. And I know it was during one of the shows. I feel doggone certain about it. Am I right or am I not right? I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to leave that on that screen. Then I'll come over to chat, switch over to the chat room and say hellos to everybody. Here's Alice saying hello to everyone. Good to see you, Alice. Greg M., good to see you. Oh, new timeout links ranging up to 24 hours. Sigh, roll eyes on that one. Timeout links. What? I don't know what you're talking about there. Does he clarify? New timeout links. Timeout links ranging up to 24 hours. I don't know what that is about. Brian Lightfoot says, did you hear about the burglar who fell into a cement mixer? Now he's a hardened criminal. John Williams. Good morning. Just wanted to say I keep all my dad jokes in a database. Good. Very good. Thank you. Love to laugh. Brian Lightfoot, did you hear about the guy that was fired from the keyboard factory? He wasn't putting in enough shifts. Awesome. Mike Wojcik to Brian. I guess that means police have a concrete case against him. Laughing my about face off. Laughing my Adam's apple off. Something like that. I don't quite remember it. Carl J. Yes, I remember it. You don't have to explain it to me. Brian Lightfoot, clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Randy Israel, hello, Mike Wojcik. Good morning, everyone. And let's see, that one was at 8:57, so the show hadn't even started yet. Selden Ball, greetings all with a weather report, little snow left on the ground. Brian Lightfoot, happy Hanukkah to our Jewish friends. Absolutely. Ran Israel, thanks because Ran is in Israel, coincidentally, which I think is, I'm going to guess his name is, maybe his real first name is Ran, and he lives in Israel, or maybe his first name is not Ran, and there's some other, I don't know. We know him as Ran Israel, which is plenty. Brian Lightfoot, which hand is it better to light the menorah with? Neither. It's best to light it with a candle. Oh, good. Man, you guys are on a roll. Here we get Jeff Ryman. Yeah, must be more awake in Fresno than Las Vegas. Oh, man, I did not sleep well. I had to take my migraine medicine in the middle of the night, so I did not get much sleep. And because of that, I was ready for Fortnite early this morning. And I told Dan, okay, am I gonna reveal a little bit about Doug to you? Is this too much personal info? Yeah, I just barely finished what I needed to finish in Fortnite this morning, and I left the game. I left Dennis and Drew playing the rest of the game. Did not finish. What did I do? I kind of said I need to get away. I need to get away. And then the excuse was they thought I was going to go do work. No, I went to take a nap. Because I needed it. So I actually took a nap before this show right now. Let's see. Brian, Richard, Mike, Jeff, Greg M. Sorry, was busy packing up another Amazon return. Another one. Was that the one? Timeout links ranging 24 hours. Is that what he was referring to? Greg M, right? Yeah. Pausing here. Is that what he's referring to about the 24-hour timeout links? I don't know. It still didn't make sense to me. Let's see. I'm going to go down, look for pausing is bad. Greg M. If you have a lot of external devices pulling the power off USB, there's only so many amps that USB bus can supply. Yes, we were talking about that yesterday. Selden Ball, I'm seeing pauses in video and audio. Okay, I'm checking. Dropped frames. Oh my gosh, good grief. Good mom, Miss Molly. I'm going to show you right down here at the bottom of the screen. Dropped frames, 8,154. Now, if I go over to my monitoring screen, I'm not live. See how far behind it is? If I right-click on that image and do stats for nerds, look at the buffer health. Right now, I've got 49 seconds of buffer. So it's going okay now. It's sticking right around, it's bouncing from 47 to 49 seconds. Now, if I do a shift period, see that? You couldn't see that very well. Can I drag this down? No, I can't. I'll do shift period again. That speeds the video up to 1.5. Now, if I go to stats for nerds and look at the buffer health now, we might be seeing the numbering, the amount of buffer health go down. No, it's still keeping good. So then I'll close that with a X, and I'll try shift period to go all the way up to double speed. I'm at double speed, then right-click stats for nerds. Now, see the buffer, that green line going down? That means I am losing buffer quantity because the video is catching up, and it's catching up at a rate that is faster than the incoming video. Now, you see that little orange piece there. This is the yellow is going down, so we're seeing the orange section behind it, which is probably about 8 seconds worth of buffer. By the time it gets all the way out here to the right edge, will that be down to 8 seconds? And then we see the black in the background. So it's getting down to 0 buffer, and here's live latency. So right here, it considers that I'm live, and the red dot should have showed up right when it went green, and it was still a few seconds of buffer. So that wasn't quite live, even though YouTube claims I'm live if I'm just a couple, 2 or 3 seconds behind. Now, is that going to keep up? I suspect it will, because my drop frames is not increasing, but that just shows a little bit about watching your buffer health. Now, since I'm live right now, I'm no longer showing at double speed. Of course, I can't be double speed once I'm caught up. Now, let's come back to chat. Jeff, spinning circle. Rand, spinning circle. Danielle, just realized I wrote bottom left and it should be bottom right. You know what? I actually didn't really point that out too much or correlate that to her message, did I? So then let's get that image back up. Let's see. And then how can I, oh, I see why I can't see that at the same time. She said the USB port shown on the right side of the diagram with approximately half coming from the CPU from the top, other half coming from the bottom. Yeah, that's correlated. At this point, I do not know. Let's see which are which. I don't see anything wrong with your left and right description. Oh, bottom left of the diagram. I see where she said bottom left. Okay. Yeah, but that is what I was pointing out there, and I know I wasn't showing that to you. So here it is again. So the top part is kind of the USB part's coming from the CPU, and this is where she had said bottom left, but it was the bottom right. These are coming from the chipset. Okay, so yeah, I'm with you on that description. Resolution dropped. I thought the buffering circle was just me from Ken Stout Live. Is Ken Stout really live, though? Is he live? I saw that clip that he published. I don't know if he's alive. It sounds like he's not very healthy right now. Ken Stout, I wish you the best wishes for speedy recovery. I knew that you weren't showing up in the evenings, but I didn't know that you weren't well. I don't think that came across on any of the shows that I had recently saw, but it sounded like you're getting better from that short that you did, but you didn't give us your voice because you said you couldn't quite talk yet. So best wishes for a speedy recovery. I only discovered that last evening. Greg Guy, just woke up having my morning cup of coffee. It's cold 43 degrees in southern Maryland. Pausing is bad. Pausing is bad. Bad pausing. Bad pausing. Bad pausing. Pausing is bad. Brian Lightfoot, lots of buffering here. Also must be a disturbance in the France force. I read that first as France before I got to actually pronouncing it. The live. Was that? The live button is staying red. Video is current, so I suspect it's backed up at Doug's end. Yeah, if you're not getting buffering, if your YouTube is keeping up with the data that's coming through, but my site is buffering, that's a reason why you might see buffering. Now, but what you can do is lower your resolution or intentionally hit left arrow to back up by 5 seconds. That way you're letting it bring in some data. The data is coming in slower, the video is coming in slower, but if you're behind, you should be able to get a smooth play. That doesn't always work. Yeah, I'm getting it too. Runs and then pauses. I'm sorry you have the runs, Lawn Dog. I'm glad you guys mentioned it because I got about 20 tabs open. I was wondering if goofy things were happening, and now the resolution just dropped. Did I lose resolution on my monitor number 3? Doesn't look like it. Yeah, I'm down to 720. If I go back up to 1080, then look at stats for nerds. What does it show me? I've got buffer health 3 seconds in buffer. Live latency is 4 seconds. So I'm actually behind. I'm not actually live, but I'm close enough that I've got a red button. Now, can I actually speed up? There's 1.25 speed. See how long that holds. 1.5 speed. See, I was actually behind because I actually was able to speed up. Okay, now let's see, is it holding at a higher speed? A little bit. Oh, there's a buffering. There's a buffering. When I try to be right on the bleeding edge, then I get buffering. Back to the chat room. Alice, buffering here. Thought it was just me. The seldom ball, the live button is staying red. Video is current, so I suspect it's backed up at Doug's end. Did I skip something? Nope, I didn't. Yep, I got all those. Greg M, USB bus can only supply so many amps. Now that was an interesting thing because after the show was over yesterday, somebody in chat mentioned, or when I went back and read over the chat messages, made a comment about the amount of power that can come over USB. And I have one of my devices that was exceeding that amount of power that was mentioned. And I think it's pretty apparent and acceptable for that. So I'm going to get back into this USB dev view down here and launch that and show you what my power hungry hog USB, I've got 896 milliamps. Doug's, where's your head at? 896 milliamps from my Logitech Stream Cam. That is my highest, most capable webcam here. It is USB Type C. And it has a 30-foot extension on it, but it is a powered extension. And I have, what is this, 4 devices that are drawing 500 milliamps, which I think is supposedly the maximum. And these are on my other, well, let's see, 2 of them are webcams. One's a Stream Deck and one's my LED controller that's inside the computer. I didn't even realize that one was drawing that much. And then now I was wondering, is this a way, since you can tell what device is connected to which USB port, does this tell us in here whether that USB port is controlled by the chipset or the CPU? That would be helpful to Danielle, right? Is there anything in here that tells us whether it's controlled by the CPU or the chipset? If somebody recognizes what distinguishes that, these instance IDs might mean something about that, because she's wanting to identify whether the USB ports are controlled by the CPU or by the chipset when the device is connected to a port that's causing problems. Yeah, I guess there's probably 3 pages worth of this. I'm just glancing over trying to identify something that's obviously chipset or CPU. So I'll click down here on the scroll bar on the bottom. I'm going to click to the right of the scroll bar so I can scroll 1 screen worth in a click. So here's this USB class column is on the right. So 1 click. Now here's USB subclass on the right. If I go a little bit to the left, we'll see that column that was on the right, it's now on the left. So then looking through here, does anything here give us a clue as to whether it's controlled by CPU or chipset? Looking over at chat on my screen number 3 to see if you're telling me what does it. Not at a glance, I'm not recognizing that. Device manufacturer, standard USB host. Standard system devices, USB host controller. There's only 2 things here, standard system devices and USB host controller. Doesn't that sound like that might be a distinction between the CPU and the chipset? I don't know. Okay, now let's look at one more. The right-hand column is device manufacturer and then FRSI something. So I'll go one more screen worth. Yeah, there's friendly name. That's what that is. So there's 3 screens worth. Okay, now moving back to chat. Where was I at? Yeah, so many amps. So yeah, we looked at that. The most recent, now so many amps, but actually what this is showing is power milliamps. Okay, yeah, so milliamps. That's that fits. Greg M, did we determine she was using a 2.5-inch portable drive, some kind of external drive that is not power? Yeah, Danielle, I don't think we quite know which devices are causing you the problem symptoms and what the symptoms are. That would be interesting if you could let us know that. And an email would be great for that, because that way I can show that in more detail tomorrow, and it takes a while for you to put that into chat room. Brian, I think audio and video are not exactly synced. Not bad, but I think I can notice. I'm looking at my picture-in-picture on OBS, and it looks in sync to me. For me to see it. Now, if I look, well, it doesn't. I can't look at the monitoring screen because I'm not listening to it from there. English, please. Ran to Danielle. When you open the USB category in Device Manager, can you tell which controllers belong to the CPU and which to the chipset? So let's go demonstrate that. I'll go into Device Manager. And I did look at this yesterday. Can we tell which are... Let's see, here's USB serial devices and controllers. So devices, the only thing that's actually referred to as a device is my RGB controller for inside the computer. In here, is there a way to tell which of these come from the CPU and which come from the chipset controller? Yeah, I don't know. Let's see, USB 3.0 and Universal Serial, AS Media. I'm thinking maybe somehow in details. When you look here, you get all these different things. Is there something in here that will give you the idea or information, whether it's controlled by CPU or chipset? There's just so much stuff. I don't know. I don't think I've seen... Let's see. Well, Zavi's here. You might know that. Wintermute might know that. Jim KJ3N might know that. Or even if the guys don't know it, they probably be able to find it right quick. John Williams, yes, it did work. No issues. Something worked. I don't know which one it was that worked. Was buffering. Now is good. Video seems to have improved and steadied out. I'm still showing additional drop frames. It's still increasing because I just saw it go up in front of my eyes. Selden Ball, timeout links. YouTube has enabled a new moderation ability. One can set the timeout for an abuser at various values up to 24H. Oh, that's what the timeout comment was. It wasn't from Selden. The timeout comment was from Greg M. I see. You can time out somebody. In the chat room, YouTube has enabled new moderation ability. One can set the timeout for an abuser. Dennis made a comment to me the other day, or put it somewhere, that YouTube has changed something about comments. Put user in timeout. Is that what does it? No, I'm not going to do that on you, Selden. Greg M, I know if one connects up a normal 3.5-inch spinning drive that requires power, if one uses self-contained drives in a housing and they don't have external power, they're pulling 5 volts off the USB. I would think that if there's an external, a drive is sold, 3.5-inch external drive with only connecting to USB without a Y connector, then it must be doing something internally, or it must be a special drive that can run on 5 volts, because there's nothing that it could do with its internal circuitry off of a single 5 volt USB power to increase that power. It can't beef that up. It could change the amount to lower voltage and higher amps, but the drive would have to be able to function off of that. I don't think I ever came across a 3.5-inch spinning drive that did not require external power or at least a Y connector. Daniel Emberley, I am not at that computer at the moment. We'll look again at the descriptions and device manager. Awesome, Danielle. Please send me an email and pictures or screenshots, and we can look at that. Tomorrow's Friday. Mañana. Greg M., if you have a lot of external devices pulling the power off USB, there's only so many amps the USB bus can supply. See, I am right at the half-hour mark. Ken Stout, nearly at 97.78 something or other percent, however, still unable to talk. I'm suspecting strep throat. Oh my. Well, full disclosure, I can talk, but I sound worse than Beetlejuice. Hi, Doug. I had to lower my resolution from John Williams. RAN Israel controller's description if it's listed. In your case, I don't think CPU has a USB controller. That could be. I have no idea if my CPU has USB controller. So I'm going to switch over here. I didn't even look to see if I have a redirect candidate. Ken Stout, do you want to do a live stream? I'll do a redirect to you if you want to do a live stream there, Ken Stout. Right? Because we want to hear Beetlejuice. No, Ken, I am kidding. Don't do that. Do not want you to do that. I got to zoom this down so that I can find my way around and get in here and see if there's anyone for me to redirect to that I'm wanting to redirect to, and no. And Dennis, you're always welcome to put in links, but I'm not wanting to redirect my tech show to a Fortnite show. It just doesn't quite fit. But I love for you to put your links into chat. RAN Israel tells us it's his country of origin and his surname. So RAN is his surname, right? That's first name, isn't it? No, surname is last name. Given name is the first name, isn't it? So RAN is his last name? Okay. Yeah, I think that's right. I will read through the rest of the comments after ending the show, and I'm going to go ahead and end the show. Am I going to go continue my nap? Does anybody want to put a wager on that? Any bets? Jim is here. Did I not see him earlier? Anyway, I'll read through the comments. I'm going to go ahead and bounce out of here, everybody. So have a great day. I'll catch you later. Goodbye.